Hello everybody and welcome back to VUDivulged. I'm Anthony Bulkowski, the General Manager, and today we have a special treat for you guys. On October 24th, we have the privilege and honor of listening to Derek McGraw, who is the Chief of Princeton Police Department in Indiana. He graduated from Vincennes University in 2002 and became the Chief of Police in 2016. During his presentation, he will describe his steps he took in becoming Chief of Police, as well as providing his unique perspective on how he believes that police should protect, serve, and be part of their community. I hope you enjoy his presentation.
There's so much funny that she just said right there. Number one, distinguished. That's hilarious. So I'm far from distinguished. I am a VU alum. I stand here in my police uniform in a Homeland Security class with my automotive technology degree from Vincennes University. So yes, I parked in that parking lot and I went and worked on cars for 2 years and got an associate's degree in automotive technology. Long story behind that, funny story. But it is what it is. So I am honored to come, especially when a federal agent asks you to come attend and speak in his class. There's not much I'm going to be able to talk about that he can't already tell you. So everybody, I get that I've got a gamut here. Homeland Security, how many people are actually in Homeland Security? Okay, with that Homeland Security degree, that could be 100 different options. How many want to do what I'm doing right now? Any? Nobody wants to be a cop? Nobody wants to be a cop. We got smart kids at VU. John Hildebrand is one of my main guys back there. I love him to death. I'm sure you guys know your Vincennes chief. So basically, I'm going to talk to you today about this. But there's probably gamuts that you want to go to that could be elsewhere. It could be state. It could be federal. Who wouldn't want to work for the alphabet? You know, I mean, they're a great job. You get to go all over the country and the world. Did anybody catch the joke there? Yeah. Yeah, sorry. I had to do it, man. All right, so my why. Why? Everybody has a why. Why are you here today? Why am I here today? Why do I look like a clown in this outfit? I hate this uniform, just so you know. Class A uniform is the worst uniform in the world for me. One of the first things I did as chief was eliminate the state trooper look that we had. And this is a lot more comfortable, but it still sucks. I told my guys if they were to work on a daily basis, I will suspend them because it's not tactical at all. We can get into that later. What's my why? Mine's easy. A lot of people have a different why. This cop really influenced my life, or I went through a really bad time. Those are the best whys in the world, man. My dad was a cop for 40 years. That's my why. It's the only why. It's the only thing I've known. I grew up enamored by my father's job and the profession that he did. We had totally different careers. He worked 40 years at the Princeton Police Department. That's the only thing that matches mine and his career. I went to the Princeton Police Department too. Those are the only two things that overlap. My sister's right there, so she could tell you me and my dad are about polar opposite. There's nothing about us that's the same other than we are cops. That is it. You really couldn't find two different people. But he is my why, 100%. I went as a kid, I think I came out of the womb wearing a plastic holster and a fake badge, man. I'm telling you, I wanted to be a cop. I remember my dad worked the shittiest shifts all the time. We would go out, my sister would want to go to dinner with my mom, and she's like, we can't go in because your brother looks like an idiot. I had some fake holster on and some Fisher-Price badge and some fake handcuffs, and I was going to go protect Princeton at 4 years old. So there's never been a doubt in my mind on why I want to be a cop. Why did I go to automotive technology school? Because my mom absolutely hates the idea of cops, right? We have the highest divorce rate of any profession in the world, right? I think we're upwards of 80% last time I looked. My mom and dad are very happily married. I don't know happy, but they're never had an issue. So sleepless nights of my dad out in the field. Why she definitely didn't want her baby boy, you know, her favorite child, to get killed in the line of duty. So she pushed me hard in another direction. So that's how I ended up in automotive. I had an uncle who was working on cars. Turned 21. I put my application in. Showed her. So here we are. So where does it start? You know, there's a little dossier right there. Yeah, I went to VU. 04159, that's my academy graduation class. I was 22 years old. I was the third youngest out of 140 people, so it was really cool. I was barely old enough to drink, didn't know what it was. They took us to FOP and we had a good time. I don't remember that next day's class, but started my career as a patrolman, just like every other person does. I did patrol for 3.5 years. I was very fortunate in the world of law enforcement and state level in Indiana. You have to get at least 3 years on before you can advance in a certain area. Mine was training and instruction. So when I had my 3 years, I became an instructor. It's a generalist course. You have to generalize to be an instructor first. It's like getting your basic level 100s out of the way in college, and then you start to specialize. So at 3 years, I become an instructor at a very small department, okay? Princeton's only got 17 officers. I was one of 2 instructors, so they start putting a bunch of different hats on me. So I became a generalist instructor only because I wanted to be a DT instructor. That was the sole purpose. I love martial arts. I've been training in martial arts forever. We never had a DT instructor. We needed a DT instructor. Why am I hitting so hard on this training thing? Because at a small department, this is what started triggering my progression up the chain here. So I grabbed this instructor and I become a DT instructor. I start training. Well, there I am. I already got that generalist instructor. John, did you ever go to pre-basic for general instructors? The general instructor course. It's the worst course in law enforcement. Yes. I'm just tell you right now. I've been about every one of them. It's hands down the worst week in law enforcement when it comes to state level side. It sucks. Nothing about what you want to do is in that course. They just teach you how to put on a PowerPoint. So if I do a good PowerPoint today, you guys are, that's where my instructors came from. So once you get that triggered though, then you can start specializing. So once they find somebody that is dumb enough to say yes to that instructor course, I start specializing. I get my DTs out of the way. Oh, hey, Derek, we need a taser instructor now. So I go become a taser instructor. Hey, active shooters is becoming a thing. We need an active shooter instructor. I go get an active shooter instructor. Hey, we need our firearms guys getting ready to retire. You're the only one that can pass the qual course. I can shoot guns. I don't like them. We can sit here and talk about them all day. I won't have a damn clue what you're talking about. You know, you want to talk about sights, I can teach you how to shoot them though. So I go become a firearms instructor. Well, that triggers 3 courses: pistol, rifle, shotgun. Before you know it, I quit being a cop and I'm just training all damn day. That's all I'm doing. Well, once you do that, you start getting in a little bit more of a role and you're administrated at the higher levels, you come off the road a little bit. So fast forward to 2008, it doesn't exist anymore, but we used to have a corporal position. They're like, hey, you're doing all this instructor stuff. You're helping us out, doing a lot of PR crap. We're going to give you a promotion. And the cool part was that promotion put me on day shift. So I got promoted at 26 years old in a very old man police department to day shift. You don't think there were some sour grapes up in that turkey right there? Oh, man. I was unbumpable. I'm 26, 27 years old. Dumb enough to go out and want to stop every car that moved. Dumb enough to want to go get search warrants for every house that was out there. And there's some salty ass old dudes on days. Been there 30 years, young man. You don't know what we've been through. God, if I ever get that way, I hope I retire, just so you know. I'm getting close, probably. But we started this new thing. It was a phenomenon. School resource officer. And they're like, Derek, you're 27 years old. These kids love you. I was coaching sports at the time. You want to be a school resource officer. I'd been on days about 37 seconds. I was bored out of my mind. Second shift is where I came from. In Princeton, if anything's going to happen, it's from 3 to 11 p.m. Every call, every fight, every drunk, every meth head, you name it, man. We were hopping. It was a blast. Go to day shift, and then we got to go do a funeral escort. I got to go do a VIN check. They're like, you want to go be an SRO? I'm like, I'll try anything right now because I'm bored and I do not like what I'm doing. And I was only an SRO for 6 months, and I've been a police officer for 20 years. That was the best 6 months of my life. It transcended my career holistically. I think John was an SRO for a long time. If somebody tells you that being an SRO is a do-nothing job, they don't know what the job is with being an SRO. And that's what really turned my career and shaped where I went for the last 15 years. Because I was able to make a difference in a lot of people's lives. 2008 to 2009, that 6-month window overlapped in a thing. I met every kid from kindergarten through senior. To this day, I still get birth announcements, wedding invitations, graduation requests from when they were in kindergarten and now they're graduating high school. It was the most fulfilling aspect I ever had in my life. And how it transcended everything, because within 6 months I got another promotion and I got promoted to detective sergeant. And that started with, because I had this collaboration with the youth in our community, and meth was hot right then. Okay, we were making our own meth back then. We weren't getting it from Mexico on the crystal. We were actually making the dope. We were the guys were in the anhydrous field stealing anhydrous. They were doing the shake and bakes. The backside and the unfortunate part to meth is a very sexual drug. So we had a lot of child molests and we had a lot of sex crimes. I should have turned that off a long time ago. I apologize. So we needed somebody to interview. 27, 28 years old. I still look like a kid. I still probably still do act like a kid today. I went to forensic interviewing school, and I became a forensic interviewer in investigations. Cool part about small departments. So in a minute, I'm going to get to your why, but my why right now, there's big departments, there's small departments, there's federal departments. Every one of them is different. I just spent a week in San Diego last week at the National Chiefs Conference with half of the police force from Evansville. John will attest, us small departments, we make up 90% of all law enforcement agencies in the United States of America. You think of Indianapolis, you think of Evansville, you think of Fort Wayne, you think of LAPD, San Diego, that's 2%. 90% of law enforcement is Vincennes, Indiana, Princeton Police Department, Ligonier, Indiana. Probably the most influential chief in the state of Indiana is from Ligonier, Indiana right now, Brian Shear. Does anybody know where Ligonier is? I don't either. I couldn't get there if I tried. I'd have to GPS it. He is the most influential chief in the state of Indiana. He sits on the training board. He's got the governor's ear. He has a manpower force of 6. He's in a 2-horse town. So it doesn't matter. What I'm getting at is, when you go to Evansville, and they're going to make you a detective, you're going to investigate check fraud for the next 20 years, and that's it, because there's enough of it to go around. You're going to do homicide, which is awesome. You're going to go to narcotics, and you're going to go to all the auto thefts, right? I got to do all of that. I've gotten confessions from murderers. I've gotten disclosures from child molest cases. I've done $250,000 fraudulent cases on check frauds. And yeah, I've investigated the missing cat that the neighbor stole. But it's the whole thing. Like, small agencies get to wear a lot of hats. So what's triggered when I have 3 years on, I become an instructor and I start putting on several different hats. And then that translates into investigations where I start putting on several different hats. And man, it's a blast. That can be overwhelming because you never perfect anything. The homicide detective for 20 years that I spent a week with in San Diego, probably one of the best ones in the country. Because that's what he's done, right? So it's cool. You got to look at what your why is, right? So I go to investigations. I get a chief that loved to be a police officer and didn't necessarily want to be an administrator. And he's like, Derek, can you do something with this? So he hands me these papers and he slides them in front of me. I'm like, it's the budget, chief. What do you want me to do with it? He goes, I don't know what to do with it. Just do the budget. I'm like, this is $2 million. Like, you figure it out. I don't care. So I go to the mayor. I'm like, hey, what are we going to do with this budget? I'm not lying, guys. This was 2014, 2013. It was all handwritten. Right? That's exactly what I did. It was handwritten. So I put our entire budget into an Excel spreadsheet, auto calculations. I had an 80-year-old mayor. I walked in and I showed him the numbers. I'm like, well, you're off like $200 there. You go, how do you know this so quickly? I showed him the spreadsheet. He goes, how the hell did you do that? I'm like, what's calculations? Is a spreadsheet? I mean, he didn't even know how to work a computer, let alone what Microsoft Excel was. So that starts my transition into the dumbest role I've ever taken in my life, chief of police. I got to speak in front of a women's group the other day at Princeton, and this lady introduced me, and she was so proud to have the chief of police there. She said, this has got to be the greatest role you've ever had. It's the worst role I've ever had. It sucks, man. Really, but small department again. I still have a radio on. Like, you see, like, there's a lot of chiefs don't even know what this is or how to work it, right? This sits on my desk 24/7. No, I do not look like this every day. I wear normal clothes. I look like John. I'm in khakis, I'm in a polo, but I'm also very tactically sound and ready. I have my vest in the back of my car. This radio is sitting on my desk. I will run out the door to go get in a fight. I will run out the door to go help work a wreck. I had a part-time guy came to me from Vanderbilt County. He'd worked at Vanderbilt County for 30 years, retired. He still had a little gas left in the tank. Comes to work. He's an SRO. Snow day happens. We got wrecks everywhere. School's canceled. He pulls up at a wreck that I'm working. I'm in the car and I'm working. He knocks on my window. What are you doing? I'm working a wreck. What are you doing? There's like 3 more waiting. What? He was like, I'm confused. So that car hit that car, and I got his driver's license and his insurance, and we're going to put that. No, I get, like, I've never seen an admin work a wreck before. Well, this is how we do it in a small town. We all fill out, we all work. So your desire and your passion as a leader is going to set the tone for whoever it is you're in charge of leading. You can be mediocre, but who you're leading is going to be mediocre. I want to set the bar so damn high that they can't fail, even when they are mediocre, right? So you got to do your job, you got to do it right. I'm going to look at my watch a little bit because I'm on time. Let's go to your why. What's your why? Somebody give me some help. I want this to be interactive. I want you to interrupt me if you have a question. I know we're supposed to save them till the end, but I'll get sidetracked and I'll get pigeonholed, and I may have a touch of ADD, so I'll shoot off on a squirrel tangent. So, touch, it's a big no. So what's your why? Why are you here? Tell me. What are you going to do? What's the goal?
My goal?
Yeah.
Well, I want to work pretty much more or less investigation.
Perfect.
On currently more along arsons.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. We need second responders all the time. Firemen. Did you get the joke? Did you get the
Yeah.
joke?
Yeah.
Firemen, cops, we have fun.
Yeah.
They're a blast. No, absolutely. I love my fire department. They're awesome. Excellent. That's a hard one to work too, bro, because all your evidence is burned up. So good luck with that. Why are you here?
Well, I hope to join one of the alphabets.
I love the alphabets. They're great.
With the FBI Intel
Excellent.
Analysis Unit, or the Behavioral Analysis.
So your GPA's through the roof is what you're telling me.
Not yet.
Yeah. Excellent. Why are you here, my man?
Me?
Yeah.
I was born in a really small town, so
Love it.
I was born and raised to just get back to the community.
That is a great one. I hear that all the time. So as I become an administrator, I go through the hiring process. So let's hit the next one here. I'm pretty sure, just to kind of tell you a little background. Preston, Indiana, not big, right? It's a little smaller than Vincennes, 8,300 people. 6 square miles. It's nice and easy. I can get anywhere I want in town. You know, I talked to somebody one day, but they were a big city, and they were like, you know, to get to my house, to the police department, it's like 45 minutes. I'm like, shoo-wee, I could circle Princeton 10 times in 45 minutes. It is what it is. We average around 8,000 calls of service a year. Some years it's 7, some years it's 9. Those fluctuate from here to there. Go ahead and hit the next one. We got a 17-man department, like I said. I have 2 part-time officers. I love my part-time officers. I don't hire part-time officers to get into full-time. I hire part-time officers that are retired and have a little gas left in the tank so I can get that use out of them. Would everybody in this room agree, because you have some knowledge of law enforcement, we're in a very hard time right now in law enforcement. I was with Billy Bolin last week for a week. He's the 3rd largest agency in the state. We're all fighting over the same 5 people, you know. I was extremely excited when Professor asked me to come and talk here, because you guys have ambition and desire to be in law enforcement. You will not believe how many applicants I get that saw that there was a job opening, like, I kind of wanted to be a cop. That's not a good why. I don't want that guy. I don't want a holster sniffer. I'm sorry, that's disrespectful to say, but I don't want that. So I'm gonna go get these 2 dudes that got some gas left in the tank, that knew what they were doing, that were respected in the community, that have a boatload of training still left to give, and I'm gonna bridge that gap for a minute while I wait on you to come work for me, and not this person that has no clue what cops do. Really don't, right? I don't need that in my department in a small agency. Billy, he's down 35 cops on a consistent basis. He may be hiring heartbeats every once in a while, and you're gonna have the instances that are making national news. I don't want to be in the national news. I can tell you that right now. Chief of Police Derek McGraw in front of Fox News or CNN, God help us, because that means shit hit the fan. And I don't want that, okay? So I put all my focus. I know every one of my dudes' kids' birthdays. I know all my dudes' wedding anniversaries. I know when one of my guys is breaking up with his girlfriend or his wife. I know what's going on, not because I'm nosy, but because I need to know the product I'm putting in the street, right? If you're having a bad day, and you're going to his domestic on his worst day, your bad day and his bad day are not going to overlap very well. And that's where you get excessive force complaints. That's where you get bullshit arrest complaints. That's where you get lawsuits. Lawsuits. That's where I get the FBI walking in my office investigating me for something. You know? So I got to be very conscientious of the product I'm putting on the street. And yes, my manpower is a product that I'm putting on the street. #1 lawsuit in law enforcement. What is it? Good guess. Excessive force. Any other?
Corruption.
Corruption's a great choice. Failure to train. That will be the #1 lawsuit in law enforcement. Failure to train. So what does that mean? That means in 2016, when I took over the Princeton Police Department and I had a $3,000 line item for training, that gets me like 2 classes. This year, successfully, I've spent to date $35,000 in training. And that doesn't include the in-house training that I do with my certified instructors that we do for free. I'm sending cops here, there, and everywhere to get training. It's a reward. You get a week off of work, you get to go stay in a hotel, and you get to train in something you specialize in. Had to hand the department credit card off to a guy last night. He's on his way to St. Louis as we speak, going through a desert snow class for 4 days. He's one of my heavy hitters on 3rd shift. He loves dope, and he's going to go figure out how to get more dope. He doesn't love to do dope. Don't laugh like that. He loves to arrest dope, and he loves to work in addiction, so I'm going to teach him how to be better in addiction. I have one rule when you come to me for training. Do not ask me for something you haven't done since Moby was a minnow. Does that make sense? John comes over here. He hasn't made a drug arrest since 2004, and he wants to go to the DEA school. No, John, it's not going to happen. Prove to me you're doing it. I had one of my guys that is, quite frankly, not one of my most energetic individuals. He came to me for a cell phone extraction school. Number one, we don't even do that shit. We have a lab at the state police post. They handle all that. I'm like, dude, you just want to get off work for 4 days and go stay in a hotel. No, it's not going to happen. But once I started feeding them that, then they started seeing it. I'm like, hell, he's rewarding us for training. But also, flip to the admin side, failure to train is the #1 lawsuit in law enforcement. They're going to say, you screwed up royally, okay? You had a bad day, and you made a mistake, and John's your chief. It's not just you on the lawsuit. He's going to be on the lawsuit, too, for failure to train you correctly. So I'm also covering my posterior when I train these people properly. But it also circulates into morale. They're happier to come to work and do their job. It also circulates into a better product that I'm putting on the street for my law enforcement and my community, right? So that we can have good faith in our law enforcement. I'm climbing the ladder towards accreditation as we speak. Last thing I want to do that I want to stamp my hat on in Princeton Police Department is to become accredited. It's going to take a lot of hard work. People are accredited in Evansville. People are accredited in Indianapolis. People are accredited because you know what? They have a bunch of people who just sit around and accreditate, whatever that means. Billy Bolin gave me the best compliment ever about 2 years ago. He was sitting in my office. We were getting ready to go to a lunch or something. And I was like, hey, I got a couple things I got to knock out here real quick, hang out real quick. And I did, 5, 6, 10 things, I don't know. I look at it and get ready. And he sits in my car. He goes, dude, I couldn't do your job. You're the Evansville Police Chief, 3rd largest agency in the state of Indiana. You couldn't do my job? He's like, I just watched you do 10 things that I got 30 people who work for me do. There's no way. He doesn't do his budget. He doesn't do payroll. He doesn't understand when a body cam breaks, that's on me. He doesn't understand that I need to give you 4 days of leave because you've got National Guard duty. He doesn't get that the cars need an oil change service. He doesn't know their best recycling program. There's a whole bunch of stuff that goes on my plate as the chief in a small town. Cool, not cool, I don't know. Big difference than a big town, right? Then you got sheriff's departments. God help us on that. Their head honcho is a politician. Jesus. He only cares about smiling and shaking babies, or no, kissing babies. Get that right. All right, I don't know. What's the next slide? I'm getting off track again. Here's my makeup on my department. We have the chef, which is me. I have an assistant chief, which is also a captain by rank, okay? He's appointed assistant chief. He holds the rank title of captain. It is non-merited. He is also a detective, okay? Multiple hats. He's the assistant chief. He helps me with a lot of admin stuff, but he still investigates. I was going to bring him today. He's a great guy. Him and John go way back. He's hilarious. He's in a sexual assault case trial as we speak, which I have to get back for when we get done. I have a lieutenant who's in charge of all my road patrol. Anything that touches the road, which is 90% of my department, I have a lieutenant that's in charge of that. I have 4 sergeants, 3 of which are road patrol. I have a day shift sergeant, I have a 2nd shift sergeant, I have a 3rd shift sergeant. So if I get woke up in the middle of the night, I'm going to be asking my 3rd shift sergeant why. Now, I do get woke up in the middle of the night a lot, and I want woke up in the middle of the night because I want to be informed. But if I have to come to work to do their job, why am I paying them more money, right? And we've had that conversation. Everything you did as a patrolman, you still do. But now you also make sure he does everything that he's supposed to do as a patrolman. You're a sergeant, you make more money. The 4th sergeant in this picture is the coolest one on my entire department. He looks like he's straight out of Duck Dynasty. His beard's out to here, he's bald, and quite frankly, he's a badass. And he works for the alphabet. I task forced him out to the DEA, and it's the smartest move we ever made. He just chopped the head off a snake. When I was in investigations, I was fortunate enough to work narcotics, and we would be doing undercover buys, and I would literally have to be, I'm not lying guys, I would have to be hiding in the weeds because I had to be so close because my recording equipment sucked that bad. We had a $3,000, everything's $3,000, I just kind of thought of that. My training budget, anyway, my narcotics budget was $3,000. That was it. That's what they paid us to work dope, right? We had to buy our dope with that $3,000. We had to buy the equipment, whatever. It's $3,000. John's first buy that he did as a DEA agent, he's in a helicopter flying over Princeton, watching with some multi-million-dollar equipment. Long story short, I went from a $3,000 to a $3 million drug budget, right? In every case he works and every case he's tagged in on, we also now have the opportunity to get what's called DAG money. DAG money is great money because DAG money means That's not in my budget, and I can use it for, I mean, there's parameters, of course, but things that I couldn't afford. So the very first thing I bought, which was really cool, was a speed sign. You've seen them, you drive by them, they flash red and blues at you, and you're like, oh shit, there's a cop. No, it's not, it's just a sign on the wall. I bought that. It's stupid, right? Sounds dumb. But I posted on the bottom, it was paid for by your local drug dealer. And man, the community just loved that, because it was. I mean, that's what we did. That was a caveat I didn't catch when we moved into the DEA. I just wanted a DEA officer, because the feds have so much, they're so much better at what they do. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna pump you up for a minute. The FBI is the smartest in the room. The DEA is the best drug in the room. Nobody knows what the CIA does. But, you know, I mean, it is what it is. They're really good, and you get those people. And now he's sitting, one day he's in Texas, one day he's in Mexico, one day he's in LA, and he works for the Princeton Police Department. Very cool. We went through a process to get to the guy we thought that we were gonna put there. We had an interview process. Everybody's like, it's gonna be him. We know it's gonna be him. We went through the interview process. The special agent in charge sat down with me, and he goes, dude, I'm blown away. I was like, I know, because it's gonna be him. And he goes, I agree with you. We did it right, we got it right, we got lucky, and I got the right guy down there. So he is a sergeant in investigations. I can call at any moment in time. He comes home and he works for me. I don't hardly ever see him. He's got an office in Evansville. Say the turd hits the fan. I got a murder or something bad. Hey, John, he's back here. He drops what he's doing, unless he's in Mexico or LA or somewhere, and he comes back and he's still assigned to me. I pay his salary, I pay his benefits, they pay all his overtime. That's how it works. He's the highest paid Princeton police officer and has been for the last 6 years, because his overtime is nasty. 18 to 20-hour days consistent. So, and then everybody else is a patrol officer. Inside the patrol officer, though, they all have multiple hats. You got FTOs. I've got an ERT team. I think, hit the next slide. I think I named some of them up here. Yeah, we got training officers. We've got a bike patrol program. Our newest thing that we actually just collaborated with Vincent's on is the ERT team, emergency response team. That is a triggered response to, we screwed up something really bad. Typically when you find something, it's because you screwed something up, right? We screwed something up really bad, and we realized, hey, we need to specialize in this because of the DEA. The DEA comes in. I know y'all seen in the news. Man, 2-year veteran police officer makes traffic stop and nets 67 pounds of methamphetamine. Yeah, he's not that good. That's a DEA stop all day long, guys. We knew that dope was in that car, okay? So maybe one guy got lucky one time, but more than likely we knew that dope was in that car, right? You all know how investigations work. We screwed a stop up like that really, really bad one time. So we were like, we need to specialize in this. Well, coincidentally, John's like, hey, we want to specialize in this, and we kind of got it going. We just signed an MOU, so Vincent's and Princeton are going to work together. Turd hits the fan in Princeton, he's going to send me dudes. Turd hits the fan in Vincent's, I'm going to send him dudes. Every month, we train together in some specialty, whether it's breaching a door or whether it's a high-risk traffic stop. Either way. So the ERT team, I could go on all day. I'm really proud of. Obviously, we have our patrol unit. I got my CIT unit that's just actively starting. Mental health is a big issue right now in our community. You have to take it seriously. If you're a police officer and you're going to put this badge and uniform on, you have to take mental health seriously. You can't just say, well, that person got a problem, I'm going to take them to jail. That doesn't fix their problem, all right? And I'm really going to hammer on where I'm going with that here in a minute. Accident reconstruction, I got a dude that's a brainiac. He loves computers. I just bought him a drone. Man, he's in heaven. He is in heaven. He flies his drone everywhere. He does accident reconstruction, algorithms and math and algebra. Good job, Dan. Go keep doing that. Nobody. FTO program. Quite frankly, one of the most important programs in all of law enforcement. What's FTO mean? Field Training Officer. Why is it so important? Any idea? I get a guy back from the police academy, 16 weeks, right? He's ready to go, ready to hit the road. He's programmed, he's robotic, he's ready to go. Not even close. 2004, I got a police academy. There's the keys. That was my field training program. They showed me how to start the car. That was it. I took over in 2016. We changed a lot of stuff. FTO was the #1 target I had. So now, when they get back, they got 10 more weeks of Princeton Police Department training. Right? You got to learn Indiana law, then you got to learn Gibson County law, then the most important law is policy and procedure. That will hang you every time. That is our Bible, our SOP, standard operating procedures. That's what will get you every time. Failure to train will fall into that category. Remember I talked about that? They're going to tag. Every time I get sued, I have to send a copy of my SOP with it. Where did my dudes violate their SOP? The thing's 187 pages deep. It's very detail oriented, and we're expected to know all of that with case law, with IC codes, with everything else that changes that is almost virtually impossible to keep up with. We're humans, we're gonna fail, it's gonna happen. FTO program is hopefully to pull that out of them. Going back to being accredited, if I'm accredited, that means we're doing everything correct. That means when the lawsuit comes and I slide my accreditation paperwork over and the attorney goes, damn it. You know, but I'm not there yet. So when I slide some things over, I'm gonna give you a funny story. One of my guys calls me and goes, Derek, I screwed up. I'm like, all right, it happens, we'll figure it out. He goes, I went and gave a depo today. And I was like, okay, what happened? He said, we stopped this car. We searched the car, incident to arrest. I was like, I'm still not understanding what we did wrong. I told him we searched it based on our policy of searching a towed vehicle. That'd be great if I had that policy. I don't. Right? So the defense attorney, it's Gibson County, Princeton, we're all friends. He calls me, he goes, hey. I was like, I already know. I was like, but it also triggered, because we screwed up, I start the policy. Court proceedings start. My merit board hearing happens, and I get the policy passed. It's 30-day window on a Tuesday. Wednesday, I get called to court to testify in the suppression hearing because my guy screwed up in the deposition. He did everything right. He worded it wrong in his depo. He did everything right. He searched that car incident to arrest. That's not what he said in his depo. Get on the stand, great guy, defense attorney, is Chief McGraw, you know, you're responsible for the policy? Yes, sir, blah, blah, blah. Can you advise the court, do you have a policy on inventorying a vehicle? Yes, we do. He didn't ask me when I got it. Do you have a policy on it? I was like, yeah. And that wasn't the answer he was looking for, right? He's never going to ask a question he doesn't know the answer for. And he went dumb for a minute. Like, this guy is awesome. If I had to have an attorney, this is the guy I'm hiring. That's how good he is. And he's and he's shuffling his paper. Chief, when did you get that policy? And I leaned in the microphone, real deep voice, and I went, Tuesday. Judge goes, case dismissed. It was a good laugh, though. Funny story. But you got to have fun with your job. You're going to make mistakes. It's going to happen. I didn't even write that guy up. He just screwed up. You know, there's times you're going to be wrote up and suspended. All right, let's hit the next one because I'm going way over. I told you I didn't know how long this was going to go for me. My governing body is made up of a civilian merit board, okay? 2016, I took over. We did not have a merit board. So anytime something happened in the police department, somebody got in trouble, somebody got hired, somebody got fired, it was all politically motivated. The Board of Works, there's a city council, and then there's a Board of Works in our government. Vincent's is very similar, I'm pretty sure. The Board of Works is who controlled us then. You get a civilian body and it takes policy out, right? They're in charge of policy, they're in charge of our procedure, hiring, firing, promoting, demoting. They handle all of that for me, but they're civilians. They are not elected officials, okay? 2 are appointed by the mayor, 2 are appointed by my police officers, so we have a say in the game, and then 1 is appointed by the city council. There's a little political motivation. The 2 that come from the mayor, 1 has to be a Republican, 1 has to be a Democrat. 2 that come from my officers, 1 has to be a Republican, 1 has to be a Democrat. Personally, I think that's horseshit, but it is what it is. That still brings politics into play, and I don't like it. But they are not elected officials, so their decisions are based solely on, hopefully, what's in the best interest of the department and what's in the best interest of the community. So when we go to hire somebody, I don't constantly, nepotism's a thing now, they passed that law, but when we go to hire somebody, I don't have the mayor's cousin, brother, second cousins, daughter's best friend, and boyfriend sitting working for me at my department. Does that make sense? That's why you definitely want a civilian mayor board. Also, when I do have the mayor's son working for me and he gets in trouble, he's not getting a disciplinary hearing from the mayor and the Board of Works that he appoints. He's getting a civilian from an outside perspective. I've only had to go through 1 very crappy disciplinary hearing, and they suck, but it's just like a court proceeding, and it's part of due process. And you got to live with it, and you got to go with it, okay? And once they answer the question, you put your big boy pants on, and you go back to work the next day, okay? Yeah, I got my butt kicked in the merit board hearing is what I'm telling you right now. All right, next. Let's see what's next. Protect and serve. This is kind of what I was going back to. If you notice, there's 2 words there that are highlighted, underlined, and italicized. You see them on the side of the police car, protect and serve, protect and serve. Where's this guy going with it? The protect's the easy part. I got a bulletproof vest on, they train me how to shoot, they train me how to fight, they give me a taser. I'll protect you all day long. Most cops forget the second part. We are also here to serve our community. What does that mean? What does serve? What's serve mean? You know, I've asked you, I'll pick it on you because you're in the front row. Let me go. What's serve mean to you right there? Cowboy shirt. What's serve mean? It's easy, right? Waiter serve, right? Remember food, service, waiter service. Cop driving down the road, change flat tire. Is that service? Serving your community. Hit the next slide. It's the only slide that's kind of cool. A bunch of pictures here. What are these pictures? Pictures of us having fun, looks like, right? Just us having fun. We're having a good time. No, what we're doing is we're out serving our community. My goofy ass SRO at Christmas dressed up as the Grinch and wore that to school all day. You know, look at these top pictures right here. You know what that dude's getting his hand shook for? That was last week. I'm telling you what, that's one of my favorite moments. I shook that kid's hand because I'm sending him to Disney World in January. Cops connecting with kids, Disney adventures. We send 8 kids to Disney World every year. That one's big. There they are at Disney World last year. They're there at the airport. Underprivileged kids will never have a chance to go to Disney World. It's once in a lifetime. They're character counts kids. They do everything right, but they don't necessarily get noticed. They're not straight A students. They're not the star athletes. But they also have never been in trouble. They don't miss school. But their parents are doing the best they can. Those kids, we send them to Disney World. That's great right there, right? Last year, I came up with this stupid idea that I was going to drive around town and give everybody a ticket. That's a ticket right there. That's Ben Kennard. He's the owner of Clinker's Restaurant in Princeton. I called him. I was like, hey, this summer I want to do a character counts thing with their kids in our community. I want to give them a ticket every time I catch them doing something good. See a kid out mowing the yard? It doesn't happen anymore. But if we did, give them a ticket. See a kid picking up trash? Give them a ticket. See a kid helping an old lady across the street? Give them a ticket. What's a ticket for? Free bread pudding. That's all it's for. Ben loved the idea. We're rewarding them for good behavior. We go to the communities. We go to school events all the time. We have Citizens Academy. We teach women self-defense. Bobby Wood, my assistant chief, he probably teaches 35 self-defense classes a year. And it's packed, and he has to turn them down all the time. We did National Night Out. I was on the grill myself. I didn't just have people come in and give us food. I'm flipping the burgers by myself. That's what service is to me. Now, why? Because you know what? One night that turd's going to hit the fan, and you're going to be scared to death. And you may have been raised, unlike me and my sister, to not understand cops aren't bad people, right? But you know what? That guy's been serving our community, and his face has been out there embedded in our community on a consistent basis. I'm going to go talk to Derek. I know him. I can trust him. But if we're robots, and we put on our campaign hats, and we walk out there with our nightsticks, and you never see us unless I make a traffic stop on you because you were doing 8 miles an hour over the speed limit, you have a very bad disposition of me. You're not going to want to talk to me. You're not going to want to tell me the truth. You're not going to want to help me solve a crime. So I'm going to let the cat out of the bag. When we leave the police academy, they do not implant us with ESP. We don't know everything. It's a fact. I need help. I need witnesses. I need statements. I need collaborating stories. I need a lot of things outside of that little piece of hair that you see in Law and Order, like, oh, there's the hair we need for the DNA collection. That doesn't happen, guys. It happens because we are serving our community. We're developing the relationships. 10,000 people or less in my community, right? There is no reason I shouldn't know them all. Sounds asinine. But I'm out in the community on every day. I serve on 23 different boards in our community, and I'm out in our community every day. The worst job I ever had being police chief, hands down, because I don't get to be a cop anymore. That's my why. I want to be a cop, right? I'm not a cop anymore. I look like one, kind of act like one every once in a while. Probably have the dirty mouth like one. But realistically, I'm not out making arrests. I was on the news about 6 months ago. One of my guys got in a pursuit with a moped. I was able to catch the pursuit pretty quick. He was on a moped. Guy bails into the cornfield. I'm out serving our community. I know the farmer who's there in the cornfield that he went into. He drives up with his John Deere Gator, and he's like, hey, you want my Gator? And I'm like, absolutely I do. So me and one of my officers get in, and we go around the back of the cornfield. State police come in. Somebody from Vincennes, I think fire department came in with their drone, thermo, cornfield, brand new dog with state police. Total shit show. Puppy wanted to play with the corn ears. The thermo was too thick for the cornfield, whatever. We're there for an hour and a half, sweating our butt off. We're on the dog. Jason Swan's my guy that's riding with me. He leaves his body cam on, thank God. True admin story. He'll get a kick out of this. I take off. You can see me on my body cam running into the cornfield. There's the chief of police going into the cornfield. I get about 3 rows deep. You can't see anything. Her radio's in the car. So now I can't communicate with anyone. Get back to my car. Where the hell did my handcuffs go? They fell off in the cornfield. I mean, legitimate admin right there. Nothing tactical about anything I did there. So anyway, we're driving the John Deere. I told you I squirreled a little bit. We're driving the Gator back. We're giving up. Hour and a half. We give up. Pack it in. I'm driving down. Cornfield's right next to me. Where he went into cornfield, we measured it off, was 1.3 miles over that direction. Okay, so we're driving down this lane because we tried to set a perimeter up. We're joking, literally on body cam. I'm laughing about the canine. I felt so bad for the state trooper. It was his first deployment with the dog. I don't know if you know troopers that well, but they're pretty hardcore and everything's perfect, right? And this guy just felt like that tall because it wasn't his fault. The dog had never been in a cornfield, so he thought the ears and the tassels were a toy, and he played with them instead of searching for the guy. So we're laughing. I mean, we're joking about it. Corner of my eye, 2 rows deep in the cornfields, red t-shirt and boots, laying on the ground. And I went like that. Body cam's hilarious. I'm gonna have to testify to it. Actually, the guy played. I don't have to testify to what I said. Thank God. But it went pretty aggressive, real quick. You go up, you go down. So let's go to the next slide. You go up, you go down. Are you willing to sign the contract? What's the contract? What's the contract? What is it? Is it the contract that you're going to make this much money? These are your benefits? You know, where are we at on the contract? That's not the contract I'm talking about. That day I'm telling you about in the cornfield, I was here, then I was here, then I was here again, then I was here. It's a roller coaster of emotions on any given moment in time. I think the average human makes this many decisions in a day. The average police officer makes this many decisions in a day. But we're not average, right? We're humans. So after all that day happened, a year and a half ago, I had a guy try to stab a sword through my head. After all that happens, guess where I'm going? Home, right? My contract that I'm signed says I'm going to miss Christmas. I'm going to miss birthdays. I'm going to miss my daughter's volleyball banquet last night. I got there with 30 minutes to spare. I am willing to kiss my wife and children goodbye every day when I go to work and not know if I'm coming home. That's my contract. Anywhere you get in Homeland Security degree, I don't care if it's with the FBI, I don't care if it's with a small agency, I don't care if it's with a large agency, I don't care if it's DNR. You're gonna have to be willing to sign this contract. So we're getting real deep for a minute, all right? Next slide sucks. I just heard this last week. I was in San Diego. I was in San Diego for the National Chiefs Conference with over 200,000 cops. I don't want to have to fulfill my contract. I can assure you of that. But if you sign the contract, are you willing to fulfill the contract? What is fulfilling that contract mean? I'm willing to die for someone I don't know. I'm willing to not go home for someone I don't know. It's emotional. Triggers your heart. The guy said it last week, and I was like, damn, this dude's morbid. And then I chewed on it, and I thought about it, and I'm like, he's not lying. There was a cop on video hiding behind a building while little kids were getting shot. That son of a bitch was not willing to fulfill his contract. That pisses me off. It's a brave job you're signing up to do no matter what role you take. Understand that role. Let's get off that. Before I cry. Nobody's ever seen me cry. Have you seen me cry? I don't cry.
I made you cry.
McGraw, PrincessCity.com. Write it down if you want to ever communicate with me. I want to be a resource to anyone I can be a resource for. If it's just a conversation, John went and chief for 6 minutes, and he calls me one night, and we're chilling, you know, and just talking on the phone. Hey, what'd you do for this? What'd you do that? If I can help you in a career field, if I can help you do anything, that's my cell phone number. Text me. Don't call me because I won't answer. Text me, and then I'll call you back. All right? But I'm an open book to you guys. I've thrown a lot at you. I don't know how this presentation went because it's the first time I've ever given it. Normally I'm talking to high school kids about a job fair and, oh man, how fast can we drive without getting pulled over? Does a taser hurt? Yeah, it hurts like a mother. Those are the questions I get asked all the time, but you know, it's cool to be in a professional setting right now, and I'm excited to be here. Again, I can't thank your professor enough for having me. What can I answer for you? Let's open it up to question time. What can I answer for you? Because I'm sure I missed 100 things, and I'm sure I went over 100 things, but is there anything I can answer for you? I answered everything that way. That's how good I was. Well, I went a little early. I tried to stop it in time, so I appreciate you guys for having me. Professor, I thank you. Is there anything you need?
You did very well.
All right. Go ahead.
On behalf of Eta Sigma Iota and the Homeland Program, we would like to present this award to you
Awesome.
for coming and speaking to us, so thank you very much, and we really appreciate it.
It says distinguished. You see that, John? Distinguished. Thank you very much. Thank you guys. I appreciate it.